थोड़ा पीछे हो जाए प्लीज, थोड़ा पीछे हो जाए, कुछ भी नहीं। ऊपर आने देना प्लीज, ऊपर आने देना जी। pelo opening. Fence dia pasti jangan sulit tadi. Ya, what? We'll bring him here. Yes. नीचे में वो खुलेगा ना, ये खुल गया। करने ओपन टेंड पुल इट मैंने बोला ये कम नहीं करेगा। पाली 1 minute। पाली सूत्र। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धास्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धास्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धास्सा। सब्बीतियो विभाजन्तो सर्वरोगो विनाशतो माते भवन्तु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुतो भव। अभिवदनशीले सहस्रं वर्षपचायिनो चत्वारो धर्मावतान्ति आयुवनो मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं। रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वभूतानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं। रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं। रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते। Thank you. Good evening.
Salutation to the Buddha in Pali.
ภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณะสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิทูอนุตตโรปุริสธรรมสารติสัทธาเทวมนุสสานังพุทโธภคะวะติสวากขาโตภคะวะตาธัมโมสันเทติโกอาคาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกอุปนายิโกปัจจตังเวทิตาโพวิญโยหิติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุชุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยายาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยติตังจัตตาริปุริสายุขานิอัตตาปุริสัมปุคละ เอสัพพะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอาหุนายโยปาหุนายโยตากินายโยอัญชลิกรณิโยอนุตตระปุญญาเขตังโลกัสสติอากุสัลเลนายันตังสันตังปันตังอภิสัมเมจัสสะโกอุชุจัสสุหุชุจัสสุวันโชจัสสะมุทุอนาติมานิสันตุสะโกจัสสุปโรจะอาปะเกียนโชจัสสะลาหุกาวุติสันเตนตริโยจานิปะโกจะอาปะกัปโพกุเลสุอานานุกิตโตนะจักขุตังสัมมาจาเรกินจิเยนาเวนโยปะเรอุปวันตายโยสุขิโนวะเขมิโนโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาปวันตุสุขิตาตาเยเกจิปานาพุทธาติตัสสาวันทาวราวาอนาวเสสันติขาวายมหันทาวามันชิมาราสกาอนุกัตุลาเทียนทาวายจาเทตายจันทุเรวสันติอาวิทุเรพุทธาวาสัมภเวสีวาสัพเพสัตตาภวันตุสุขิตาตานะปะโรปะรังนิโกเพ ตานาติมันเยตากาตาจินังเกณฑ์พยาโรสนาปฏิฆาสัญญานัญญามันยาสัตถวกาเมจายามาตายาทานิยังปวดตังอายุสาเหกาปวดตมนุรักเขเอวัมปิสาปะปวดเตสุมาณสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณังเมตตัญจะสัพพะโรกัสสมิงมานะสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณังพุทธังอโตจติริยัญจะสัมปัตตังอเวรังอสัพพัตตังเตถัญจารังนิสินโนวาสาวตาสเวกตาเมโตเอตังสเตงอันเตตัยพรหมเมตังเวหารังอิตัมมาโหเตเตนจานุปคัมมเสลวาทาสเนนะสัมปันโนคาเมสุวินัยเขตังนาหิชาทุกขาปัสสยังปุนาเรติสัพพมังคลังราคันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังราคันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังราคันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสติภวันตุเตสาธุสาธุสาธุอนุโมทามิ
Sutra. Here, one time the Buddha was dwelling on a mass of virtue mountain in Rajgiriya community of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in concentration on the categories of Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection and wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom train? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: any daughter or son of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form too is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feelings, discrimination, composition, factors of consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in the compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, including no mind element, no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, no origination, no cessation, and no path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on dwelling the perfect wisdom, the mind without obscuration, and thus without fear, having completely passed beyond error, there is the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequals, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom declared that yatha gati gati para samgati bodhi swaha Shariputra, and so forth. Next, we have the salutation verse from Abhisamaya Alankara, ornaments for clear realization by Maitreya. And then we are reciting the verses of salutation from Master Nagarjuna's Mulla Madhyama Kakarika. Dalai offering in request of the teacher. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like that, and so forth. So this ground anointed with perfumes, strewn with flowers, adorned with the Mount Meru, the four continents, and the sun and the moon, visualize it as a pure Buddha field and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure field. Venerable Master, your sky of your Dharmakaya is filled with the clouds of love and compassion and wisdom. May you shower the rain on the grounds of sentient beings in accordance with their needs and dispositions. May you shower the teachings, the profound and the vast teachings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. This is a verse for blessing the tea and bread, and the verse comes from Master Tsongkhapa's songs of experience of the graduated or path to enlightenment. The first verse. Your body is adorned with, is created from billions of virtues. Your speech fulfills the hopes and wishes of sentient beings, and your mind sees everything as it is. And I make this offering of bread and tea to you, the chief of the Shakya clan. The Shakya clan, or the caste, was where Buddha was, into which the Buddha was born, as you know. So, whatever Dharma discourse we may engage ourselves in, we should have the perfect kind of motivation. Oh, this disturbance. So from the side of the teacher himself and the audience, both should have pure motivations. If we tinge our motivation with that of the 8 worldly concerns, then it doesn't serve the purpose of giving Dharma teaching. And so, on the part of the teacher, one should not have any selfish motive, nor wishing for mere peace of having overcome just the afflictive emotions and so forth. And then from the side of, on the part of the disciples, you should have the motivation not to seek any pleasure of this life to gain pleasures, but to have the motivation to reach liberation and omniscience. And so, from both the sides, the teacher and the audience, we should have this pure motivation to benefit others. So, for that reason, let us recite this verse of taking refuge and bodhicitta. So the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha are our objects of refuge. So by taking the refuge, the purpose of that is to reach the unsurpassable enlightenment of Buddhahood and to serve other sentient beings. And for the sake of leading all sentient beings to liberation, with that kind of motivation, we should make our prayer. So all of us, we have met with the teaching of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. So having met such a teaching, whatever teachings the Buddha has given, he gave them from his own experience to lead us to the same goal of full enlightenment that he himself has reached. So we should keep this in mind. So whatever Dharma practices we may be doing, just as the Buddha has attained the state whereby he has overcome both the obscurations of knowledge and afflictive emotions, mental afflictions, we should also seek the same goal. And therefore, this verse is very powerful prayer. As it is said in Uttaratantra, Mahayana Uttaratantra Shastra, the Buddha's so what this verse shows basically is that all of us sentient beings have this element of Buddhahood. Element for Buddhahood, there is a potential for Buddhahood, whereas our mind is polluted by the mental afflictions and other defilements. These defilements are not in the intrinsic nature of the mind itself. And when you develop the antidotes to them, you'll be able to make this Buddha potential manifest, realize it fully. And therefore, this Buddha potential, or the Buddha nature, as it's called, becomes manifest. So we have this within us naturally. whereas this is with not tinged in its intrinsic nature by the mental afflictions and other defilements, such as our grasping at true independent existence and things and beings. And then these defilements leave their stains, residual stains, are called obscuration to knowledge, cognitive obscuration, which obscures our mind from and attaining omniscience. But the clear light, luminous nature of the mind itself is without any stains in its intrinsic nature, but through the application of our antidotes to the defilements, we'll be able to make this clear light, luminous mind manifest, and therefore the state of Buddhahood, which is free from all defilements, all obscurations, all stains, spiritual, emotional, psychological, and so through that purification of these defilements, we'll be able to see the possibility of attaining the same kind of omniscient state that the Buddha himself has reached. And therefore, these mental afflictions, the kleshas, and their residual stains called obscuration to knowledge are temporary, adventitious, and therefore this clear light mind will ultimately become the Buddha's mind of omniscience, through the application of antidotes. Right now we may be within samsaric beings full of all kinds of negativities, but these negativities have their antidote, and whereas they do not have a sound ground as such to stay forever in our mind, whereas if you reflect on the nature of clear light mind, the nature of clarity and luminous mind, you'll be able to see the possibility of attaining, and also understanding that the stains within our mind are temporary. Then you'll be able to see that through antidotes, applying antidotes, you'll be able to cultivate by cultivating what are called the methods and wisdom aspects of the practice, you'll be able to attain the same kind of mind, the omniscient, the all-knowing mind, as like the Buddha himself has attained by overcoming these defilements that are within our minds through the application of their antidotes. So the mental afflictions and their imprints or stains left by them are all adventitious, temporary, whereas the nature of mind itself is luminous, clear light. And therefore, though our mind right now it may be under the sway of ignorance, this basic clear light mind will turn into the mind of omniscience of a Buddha. So this unclear mind eventually becomes free from these defilements by applying our antidotes to them. And so, the nature of the mind being luminous, whereas our defilements are temporary, and therefore we can see the possibility of attaining all-knowing mind of a Buddha because of the defilements being adventitious, whereas the basic nature, the intrinsic nature of the mind itself is luminous, clear light. So you should gain conviction in the fact that the mind is in its nature clear light or luminous, whereas the defilements which are adventitious can be gradually reduced and decreased from within our mind through the application of antidotes. From my own experience, by reflecting on bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, I can kind of infer that these defilements are temporary. So I accept that I lack the single-pointed concentration or shamatha. I can kind of infer that the omniscience is possible, and that I can reach the path of preparation, which is the second stage within the five-tiered path. So, with regard to the antidotes to the defilements, they are twofold: bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness. So, their insight into emptiness serves as the antidote to the defilements, and bodhicitta assists this wisdom of emptiness to overcome the obscuration to knowledge. In other words, obscuration to omniscience. So if you practice the path, the twofold path of method and wisdom, you can see, you can have the confidence to reach the state of Buddhahood, which the Buddha Shakyamuni himself has reached. So just as the Buddha has reached that goal, which is free from Buddhahood, which is free from both the obscurations of afflictions and the cognitive obscurations, we should have that kind of a courage to reach that, the determination and courage to reach that goal. As it is said, the Buddha's kayas, the enlightened body, shines forth to all sentient beings, and the basic mind of the sentient beings, this clear light mind, and the Buddha's omniscient mind, in their basic nature, there is no difference. So this mind that we have now, the Buddha has said, this will turn into the omniscient mind of a Buddha. And so this is a very profound and a very powerful teaching. We should keep this in mind. As it is said that by Vasubandhu, that the teaching of the Buddha is twofold: the realization and the scriptural teachings. And to preserve them is only through the practice of teaching and practice. So we should engage in studying the teaching, and having learned them, we should practice the teaching itself. So merely by words we cannot gain the realizations and overcome these defilements of the obscurations to knowledge and the mental afflictions. But having learned the teaching, we should apply the teaching within ourselves so that we are able to develop the what opposes these defilements that are within ourselves. And these defilements themselves are without any sound ground. And therefore, you can see the temporality of these defilements, and the temporary nature of these defilements, and that the mind itself in its basic nature is luminous and clear light. So right now, our minds may be full of these negativities, the defilements and so forth, but through the application of the antidotes, the counterfactors, then this mind that we have now can be produced. I mean, we can produce the omniscient mind from this mind that we have now. And therefore, we should have understanding based on learning, and then the understanding or wisdom that arises through reflections and contemplation, and then in the end, as to the best of your ability, whatever you may be doing, sitting, walking, standing, or lying down, you will be able to see the you will be able to see how these defilements that are within our mind becomes less and less. So therefore, the state of purification, the purified state, which is the purification of the two obscurations, is something that is possible. So from my own side, of course, I do not have the single-pointed concentration called shamatha, but I can still see the possibility that I may be able to attain the path of preparation. So by overcoming, by applying the antidotes to the obscuration to afflictions, and the obscuration to the knowledge, I can see that it's possible to attain that of Buddhahood. So the more you have, the greater the understanding and insight into the selfless nature of selflessness nature of the things and beings, the more you'll be able to see. You are able to see the possibility of overcoming these defilements from within one's mind. And so if we are able, I'm sorry, I got distracted by some knocking here, and Holiness was talking about the fact that this clear light nature of the mind makes it possible for the obscuration to knowledge and the afflictive mental afflictions to be overcome, and therefore will be able to see the possibility to reach omniscient nature of the omniscient state of Buddhahood. And therefore the practice of bodhicitta, by thinking and giving thoughts to it, you'll be able to see that you'll be able to attain your own goal as well as the fulfill the goals of others. As we say in the prayer, in order to fulfill the aims of myself and others, I shall develop the spirit of enlightenment. And therefore, you should have this determination and the courage to develop bodhicitta, this spirit of enlightenment, day and night, as the prayer for Bodhisattva vows says, having developed the spirit of highest enlightenment, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall enact the delightful, supreme enlightening practices. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So through this kind of practice, you'll be able to have this confidence to reach Buddhahood. So as Uttara Tantra says, all sentient beings are endowed with the Buddha nature, and the Buddha's kayas, the enlightened body of the Buddha, shines forth, and that the emptiness nature of sentient beings and the Buddha's mind are same. So from one's own side, one should develop bodhicitta to the best of one's ability, and then tread along the path to enlightenment, comprising those of the paths and the grounds of bodhisattvas. And therefore, we should have the determination and keep it in mind to work for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So keep that in mind, please. So the teaching today is in praise of Dhammadhatu. So there's something which, as long as left unknown, results in life's three planes of vicious circle. Beyond all doubt, it dwells in every being. To the Dhammadhatu I devoutly bow. And so this Dhammadhatu is this Buddha nature, so which is within ourselves, all sentient beings. So because of not understanding the degrees of subtlety within the mind, because of clinging on to some kind of self-independent nature in things and beings, we are ignorant and therefore circle in samsara. So you should develop this understanding of the emptiness through study and then reflection and meditation. So therefore, so the first verse was read again, and so what this shows is that the empty nature of our mind and the empty nature of the Buddha's mind are same. Whereas the Buddha went through the accumulation of merit and wisdom and thereby became someone who became free from the defilements. And therefore, regarding ourselves, we should, if we are able to develop this understanding based on study, reflection and meditation, we will also be able to overcome these defilements from within our minds and become omniscient. When that which forms the cause for all samsara is purified along the stages of the path, this purity itself is nirvana. Precisely this, the Dharmakaya, too. So by overcoming the defilements within our mind, which are adventitious, we will be able to reach the nirvana, and that precisely is also called the Dhammakaya too. As butter, though inherent in the milk, is mixed with it and hence does not appear, just so the Dhammadhatu is not seen as long as it is mixed together with afflictions. As just the inherent butter essence with the milk is purified, is no more disguised. When afflictions have been completely purified, the Dhammadhatu will be without any stain at all. So when you have this clinging to true existence in things and beings very strong, though the Dhammadhatu, this basic element of the mind, is there, the reality of the mind is there, but we are not able to become aware of it, but we see things as if they have some kind of objective independent existence. As a butter lamp that burns inside of us, our vase would not even be slightly visible. As long as left inside affliction's ways, the Dhammadhatu is not visible. So with the concentration, which is like the Vajra, it is said that the Dhammadhatu as so when you reflect on and meditate on the basic empty nature of the mind itself, you'll be able to see the groundlessness of these afflictions within ourselves, the obscurations or defilements, and therefore we will be able to have some confidence that it's possible to gain, to attain the Dharmakaya. So verse number 5 again. And verse number 6, if one perforates this... verse number 5 done again. Verse number 6, if one perforates the surface of the ways, whatever holes are made in whichever directions, through those and in precisely those directions, light will shine, as is its nature too. At the moment when the Vajra-like Samadhi is able to obliterate the vase, at that very moment the light burning inside will shine throughout the reaches of all space. So this clear light nature of the mind is its nature, the nature of the mind itself. And so though we are full of negativities and defilements, that basic clear light nature is always there. The Dhammadhatu was never born, verse number 8, nor will it ever cease. At all times it is free of all afflictions, at the beginning, middle and end, free from stain. As sapphire, the precious gem, shines with brilliant light all the time, but when confined within a grosser stone, we do not see its bright light shine. Just so, although obscured behind afflictions, the Dhammadhatu has no trace of flaw. While samsara blocks its light, it does not illuminate. Nirvana gained, its light will brilliantly shine. So this basic clear light nature of the mind, when you reflect on it, you'll be able to see the temporary nature of the afflictions, the defilements, and these defilements, you'll be able to see how you should put effort in developing the antidote to overcome the defilements. If the fundamental element is present, work will yield the sight of purest gold. If the fundamental element was lacking, the labor would produce no fruit but woe. As kernels are not considered to be rice, as long as they are enveloped in their husks, just so the name of Buddha is not given to all of those whom affliction still enfolds. So verse number 11, done. So when you think about the clear light nature of the mind, to overcome the defilements, you have to think about the empty nature of the mind as well. Whatever we see things and beings to have some kind of objective independent existence. But things and beings do not have that way of existence. But they, of course, have their effects. And therefore, the Madhyamaka view is very important to understand that things are merely designated. Verse number 12. As kernels are not considered to be rice, as long as they are enveloped in their husks, just so the name of Buddha is not given to all those whom affliction still enfold. And just as when loosened from the husk, the rice itself is what appears, just so the Dharmakaya itself, when loosened from afflictions, freely shines. Verse number 14, it is said, banana trees are void of pith. One uses this example in the world, but the fruit of such a tree has pith indeed. When eaten, it is sweet upon the tongue. Verse number 15, just so samsara has no pith, and if beings cannot remove afflictions peel the fruit within it, within Buddhahood is itself, the nectar of all corporal beings to taste. So the clear light nature of the mind, as long as it is enveloped by defilements, we are called sentient beings. Whereas through the application of antidote, when those defilements are removed, you become a Buddha. Verse number 18. Although the sun and moon are unstained, 5 veils exist which manage to obscure them. These consist of clouds and fog and smoke, the phase of Rahu and dust as well. So with regard to verse number 19, there is this word in the second line, and so it is as well for mind's clear light. 5 obscurations manage to obscure it. Desire. So desire, instead of desire, His Holiness says he has changed it in his text. He has corrected it to regret. So instead of desire, please make it regret. Regret, laziness, ill intent, and agitation too, as well as doubt. So all these defilements, such as the defilements or this imprint of clinging to independent true existence, and that in turn is removed through the application of antidote. And so you will be able to, what you were saying is that we will be able to see that things are empty of any intrinsic independent existence. So verse number 33 done. Just as water deep inside the earth lies untouched and perfectly clean, just so can primordial awareness rest within afflictions and remain completely free of any flaw. The Dhammadhatu is not the self, it is neither man nor woman either, and being beyond everything perceivable, just how could it be thought of as oneself? Verse number 25, within phenomena all free of passion, male and female, cannot be seen. For the sake of taming those that desire blinds, terms like male and female are taught, impermanent and suffering and empty, 3 designations purifying mind. But what refines the mind unto its utmost is the teaching that nothing has any self-nature. As a child in a pregnant woman's womb is there and yet is not yet visible, likewise when covered by afflictions, the Dhammadhatu is not visible. From thinking I and mine, and from thinking the names and grounds of these 4 conceptual patterns come to be, due to the elements and compounds too. So verse number 30. Just as the horns of rabbits' heads do not exist except in the imagination, phenomena are all precisely like that, merely imagined, having no existence. Because they are not made of solid atoms, the horns of oxen cannot be seen either. Since not even tiny atoms exist, how could one imagine that something made of atoms exists? So these two verses show the fact that things have no independent objective existence. Since arising is a dependent occurrence, and cessation is a dependent occurrence, there is not one single thing that exists. How could the naive believe that there is? Using examples like rabbits and oxen's horns, both of which are characterized by imputation, thus gone one has proven that all phenomena are nothing other than the middle way. Just as one sees the forms of sun, moon, stars reflected in vessels of perfectly clear water, so is the consummation of signs and characteristics. So this very mind which we have now, as long as it is enshrouded within the defilements, we are sentient beings. Whereas through the application of antidote, when these when the shroud is uncovered, removed, then you are a Buddha. So verse number 37 was where His Holiness was commenting. It says, those ensnared in the net of afflictions are referred to by the label sentient beings. The very same, when freed of states afflicted as Buddhas, are revered. When eye and form assume their right relation, appearances appear without a blur. Since these are neither arise nor cease, they are the Buddha Dhammadhatu, though they are imagined to be otherwise. Verse number 43, His Holiness is there. So, the phenomena that appear through the mental consciousness, the chief of them all, are conceptualized and then superimposed. So, this shows that the things and the mind are all merely designated. When this activity is abandoned, phenomena, lack of self-essence is known. Knowing this, meditate on Dhammadhatu. Verse 44, and so is all that is seen or heard or smelt, tasted, touched, and imagined. When yogis and yoginis understand these in this manner, all their wonderful qualities are brought to consummation. Perception's doors of eyes and ears and nose and tongue and body and the mental gate, all these six are utterly pure. These consciousness, purity itself is suchness, defining characteristics. See how the mind has two aspects. It can be worldly, it can transcend the world. From clinging to a self comes samsara. When there is self-awareness, there is suchness. The ceasing of desire is nirvana, as is stupidity's and anger's end. For these to cease is Buddhahood itself, to refute the refuge of ennobled beings. One either proceeds with knowledge or proceeds without. Samsara and nirvana both have their source in the body. Either you are bound by your own thinking, or if you know the true nature, you are freed. Enlightenment is neither near nor far. It does not go away or come to you. Right there within the cage of your afflictions, either you will see it or you will not. Abiding in the lamp of prajna, wisdom, will lead to peace, the most sublime there is. Examining for self is the way to abide. This is taught in scores of sutra texts. The strength, all ten, assist the immature with the blessing force like that of full moon. But as long as they are caught up in afflictions, beings will fail to see the dusk-gone ones. Just as those in hungry spirits' realm see the sea as dry before their eyes, just so with those in ignorance's grip who think the Buddhas don't exist. For lesser beings and those with lesser merit, no matter what transcendent conquerors do, it is like placing a precious jewel in the hands of someone never known to see. For beings who have amassed sufficient merit, the signs are radiant with shining light, all 32 blades with brilliant glory. Beings like these in Buddha's presence dwell. The projectors inhabit forms of bodily dimension for many kalpas and many yet to come. However, in order to tame disciples, they demonstrate different activities in the expanse that tames. If on definitely targeting its goal, consciousness engages in its object within the purity of self-awareness, the bodhisattva's grounds all inherently abide. So when you are able to understand that the afflictions, the defilements are temporary, and that there is antidote to them, you'll be able to see the possibility to reach enlightenment. And therefore it is said, so verse 61 says, enlightenment should not be thought far off, nor should it be considered close at hand. When objects, six in kinds, do not appear, the genuine is known just as it is. Just as milk and water mix together at present in the very same container, but a crane would drink the milk and not the water, the case of transformation is like this. There is primordial awareness, there is covering afflictions, where both are found together in one body, but the primordial awareness is what yogis and yoginis choose to take and leave the ignorance behind. For as long as I and mine are held to exist, and the outside is imagined as well, when both forms of selflessness are seen, the seed of existence is destroyed. The Dhammadhatu is the ground for Buddhahood, nirvana, purity and permanence. The immature impute the two kinds of self, and yogis and yoginis abide without these two. In giving, one endures a range of hardships. In ethics, gathers in the benefit of beings. Through patience, one performs the good of all. These three will cause the potential to unfold. So verse number 72, His Holiness is there. 73. $75. 76. 77 done. The bodhicitta perfectly engendered through a stable and consistent dedication to the Buddha, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha does not decrease and develops more and more. 78, when the four meaner deeds have been relinquished and the four better deeds have been embraced, Just then is thatness definitely realized. This is what the joyful thoroughly signifies. The stained are those whom shifting patterns mark with the constant stains of desire and the rest. Whoever has grown free of flaw is pure, and this is what is the stainness signifies. One's affliction's net is rent asunder. A flawless wisdom shines, and with its light purifies all darkness past all limit, removing it, and hence illuminates. It shines with light that is always pure. Primordial awareness, which eliminates diversion, is steeped in light which shines on every side. Thus, Bhumi hence is known as radiant, since awareness, feats, and crafts are mastered here. Verse number 85, it says definitely guided by the Buddhas, in contact with primordial awareness C, spontaneous and free of any effort, unshaken by the Mara's excellence. Since yogis and yoginis at this level have perfected the dialectics used to teach all points connected with precise, correct awareness, it takes the name select intelligence. The body at this point is made of primordial awareness, is equal to the unpolluted sky, the vigilance afforded by the Buddha's forms. Buddha's forms the cloud of Dharma everywhere. The ground of the qualities of the Buddhas, the fruits of training fully held in hand, the transformation when perfectly completed is given Dharmakaya as its name. Samsara's tendencies are ponderable. Freedom from tendencies is not. You are completely inconceivable. Who could ever have the power to know you? Beyond the pale of speech entirely, and not an object's senses. Power's grasp. Realizing you takes the mind's awareness. I bow in praise of that you embrace. The illustrious heirs of Buddhas, by following their path step by step with the primordial awareness that attends the clouds of Dharma, can see emptiness and pure mode of being. As soon as mind has utterly been cleansed, samsara's caged confinement broken through, these will then assume their rightful place upon a wondrous lotus flower seat, utterly surrounded by on all sides by lotus flowers, many tens of millions, each endowed with tantalizing anthers, their leaves alight with many precious gems. The Buddhas with 10 powers are replete. Their fearlessness sets others' minds at ease. Their qualities are inconceivable. From the simplicity's domain, they never fall. Through excellently practicing all paths, they have gathered merit, garnered wisdom full. So they are like the harvest moon on high, surrounded by its court, the clustered stars. With a hand like the sun, Buddha holds a flawless gem with light ablaze. With this, the enlightened one empowers the most senior heirs, their abhisheks, greatest of them all. The mighty yogis and yoginis living So while totally absorbed in emptiness, it is said that the Buddhas can serve to benefit sentient beings at the same time without moving from that Dharmakaya, the state. So when the Dharmakaya is seen in all its purity, this transformation, the final verse number 101, this transformation, wisdom see, and from its depth a wealth of precious jewels fulfill beings' needs as they have always wished. In praise of the Dhammadhatu, composed by the great Acharya, Nagarjuna is hereby completed. So though our 3 poisons of desire hatred and ignorance are very powerful. However powerful they may be, we can still overcome them by applying the antidotes. So that shows that these are not permanent but temporary, and therefore if you are able to cultivate and apply the antidote, the counteracting force to these defilements, you'll be able to see that these can be overcome, the defilements, and therefore you'll be able to have the confidence within yourself to achieve such a goal of enlightenment through the application of these antidotes which overcomes and eradicates all the defilements from within one's mind. So here we are now gathered in this very holy sacred place of Vajrasana, the diamond seat, and we have this opportunity to go through this teaching in praise of Dhammadhatu. So I have received the transmission of this text, and we have just gone through it roughly. On my part, I do my best to reflect on and practice the bodhicitta, the spirit of enlightenment, and the insight into emptiness. And I would like to urge my Dharma friends, all you Dharma friends, also to do the same and to the best of your ability. And so it is not meant just for this life alone, but until the space comes to an end, to work for the benefit of all sentient beings who are as innumerable, as infinite as the expanse of the space. As the prayer says, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the transmigrators. Ground adorned with perfumes, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I visualize it as a pure Buddha field and offer it to you. May all wandering beings, sentient beings, enjoy this pure Buddha field. In the land encircled by fences of snow mountains, the source of all that is good and the happiness is you, Tenzin Gyatso, Avalokiteshvara. May you live until this samsara comes to an end. This is the words of truth, the prayer called Words of Truth by His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
आगे जाने पर 잘한다. 이 purifier 돼. nunca hemos hecho.
Eso te haga la sala de ley. De cada opinión se dice. Me vale tasar la ima. No ya, me vale tasar go. Estamos todo rato. Shizu, choshi. 근데 떨고 가더니 히를 떨고 태는 봐. 남시야 뭐 때문에 하고 말다네. 텐션하고 히를 조수 저올라 봐 가더라. 이것도 히를 건 텐션.
우리 차단 두고. 아, 그래서 차단 두고. 한번 두. 선이 그러면 원 하나. 대낮 원도. 먼저 전화나 해 말해. 아니.